Obesity is defined by the common man as one being grossly fat, and scientifically, when one's body mass index is 30% or higher. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention shows that 31% of adults and 18% of children between the ages of 6 and 12 in America are obese. It is so bad that obesity is labeled by the CDC as an epidemic. Obesity in adults, but specifically in children, has tripled in the last 30 years. It is so scary to know that because with the amount of education we have in books, television, trained educators, and online resources, we are still failing in help in decreasing this growing epidemic. In order to fight this epidemic, we must first know some of the factors that in this day and age are leading to childhood obesity. The first factor I'm going to talk about is the social factor. Limited school athletic activities combined with utilizing social networks, Facebook, MySpace, and computer games are major factors that lead to childhood obesity. These days, children do not walk down the street, down the hall, up the stairs to see or talk to their friends. They don't go to the local basketball court. They don't go to the local track. They don't meet up at the roller skate. And all they do now is text, email, and instant message all day. Get on Twitter. Get on Instagram. This is ridiculous already. I remember the day when we got on a bike and rode down the street or walked to see our friends. What this is doing to our kids is making them stay in their room where they eat, watch TV, and use social networks to communicate all day. This makes them less active and susceptible to gaining weight due to the excessive calorie intake relative to the daily caloric burning. Another factor that I would like to talk about is the lack of parental involvement. The majority of families these days now have both parents or single parents working. This leads to less supervision after school. Children are forced to stay home because parents are scared to let them go outside unsupervised. In turn, children turn to watching more TV, playing more video games, rather than playing outside or exercising outside. Also, since the parents are not home, kids tend to snack more. Let's say on fatty foods such as sweets, chips, soda. Also, parents tend to buy takeout food more on their way home due to the fact that they're working till late hours. They don't have time to cook since they're hard at work. And they do this because they need to support their family because the economy is like it used to. What this does is, like I said before, it continues to create child obesity because the high calorie intake relative to the daily caloric burning by these children. Another one of the factors that we'll talk about is the lack of exercise. Before video games, computers, we played baseball, basketball, racquetball, hide and seek with our friends. Our parents literally had to go get in their car or walk down the street to look for us so we could get back in the house or take a shower or go have dinner. Based on research conducted by the CDC, a child needs at least 3 basic activities 3 times a week in order to continue living a healthy lifestyle. But unfortunately, as a society and culturally, we are failing. These activities are the following. First, they need some type of aerobic activity for at least 60 minutes to include walking, running, or vigorous activities such as basketball, cycling, swimming, cheerleading, or some sort of a sport in that manner. Another one is muscle strengthening, such as gymnastics, push-ups 3 times a week. We need to be enrolling these kids in baseball camps where they show them how to work out, how to do exercises, do it as groups, basketball camps where they do the same where they do drills. They focus on strengthening the muscles, strengthening the joints. In turn, they show them, they talk about, you know, having a diet and staying fit because, and this also motivates these kids to continue a healthy lifestyle. Another one is bone strengthening, just as jumping rope, running 3 times a week, taking these kids uh, to the monkey bars at the park, taking them to ride a skateboard. You know, some families got to the point where they pay for private lessons for volleyball. They also pay for personal trainers to show these kids from an early age how to maintain, how to keep themselves, how to maintain themselves in shape. These are some of the things that we have to be looking on in these kids. Bottom line, all these factors, if not treated appropriately, we will continue to aid in the spreading of this epidemic. In conclusion, all the factors that I just spoke about have to be addressed with high importance as a society if we really want to make a difference. Not only we're ruining our children's lives physically, but but mentally as well. I'm going to tell you a couple of the things a couple of the risks that could happen if we don't continue if we don't tackle this child obesity. We could have an increase of diabetes because of failure to work out or live a healthy lifestyle. Menstrual irregularities in females and infertility, heart attack and strokes and hypertension, pulmonary issues at a young age, and asthma, obstructions in sleep and sleep apnea as well. Orthopedic issues for being too heavy or very obese. Metabolic issues. We have fatty liver disease, gallstones at a very young age. And all this because we don't help our kids or we don't monitor our kids in a daily basis or help in their diets. Equally as important as physically, we have to talk about the psychological consequences. Lowering the self-esteem, often reinforced by teasing or bullying. Kids get bullies for being obese these days. So it's very important that we focus on this and we track this so we won't fall into this type of situation. As parents, we have to make sure that we're picking up helping our kids pick up healthy eating habits. Instead of buying sweets, chips, and soda, we need to implement fruits, vegetables, and non-fatty foods in our diet. We also have to make sure that we involve our kids in the community socially. We need to find ways to enroll our children in sports, community activity centers where kids can interact with other children physically rather than by a social network. As parents of a future generation, it is our job to educate ourselves using the many resources that are out there to turn this around. We need to shape our future generation because if we don't, this epidemic will continue to affect our children's health and well-being. And all these things that I spoke about, these diseases that I spoke about, are going to affect us. It's going to affect our future generations. And instead of tripling in the next 30 years, it will continue to get worse throughout generations. Thank you for listening to my speech today. Have a good evening.